This is one special car because this is a 1983 BMW 320i, an E21 series BMW. And if you know your Beamers, you know that this is the very first ever 3 Series. And today I'm out here in Spartanburg, South Carolina at the BMW plant. We've got guys flying around the track in M8s. Over there I have 80 vehicles to play with, and naturally the one I gravitate to is an 83 3 Series. But this is not just any 83 3 Series, because this one has just 10,000 original miles. And in this video we're going to do a full walk around, talk about why it's significant, look at some of the interesting things on the interior and exterior, and not take it for a drive because it's too precious. So let's start out here in the front. My favorite part about these old E21s has to be the slant nose grille. Now this is a US spec car. You can tell it because it kind of has a bit of an underbite. These are the old-fashioned US spec bumpers that stick out like 19 feet beyond the body, but it's a classic BMW design. In my opinion, the best face of any BMW ever. 4 round headlights here in the front. You've got a very tiny kidney grille and then these horizontal slots to let air into the radiator. It's just a beautiful design, and if we didn't have these diving boards on the front, it would be even better. Now let's take a look at the side. I love these little itty bitty turbine style wheels. Any guess on how big these are? Let me know in the comment section below. Nope, you're wrong. These are 13-inch wheels. 13s. There are X7s over there with 22s, not this car. Small wheel with a big tire, just as God intended. 185/70 R13, so that means this car is going to have a nice squishy ride. Along the side, you gotta love this line. So this crease continues all the way to the back, and of course you have the good old Hofmeier kink back here, which is a classic BMW design that's been there, well, since the E21. Checking out the rear here, the rear on these is a little bit, maybe uninspired is the word for it. Of course, the big old crash protection bumpers, some louvers in the back because it was the 80s, but 320i there in the back. Now this is a 2-liter 4-cylinder model, fuel injected. I think it only developed around 99 horsepower, but let's see if, I'm not sure if they're going to let me do this, but let me see if I can take a look at the engine. So like the E30s, this is a front hinge design, so it just should fold out like that and up, which is just stunning. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful. So just a small 4-cylinder made it to a manual transmission, but this is the DNA of the 3 Series. It was built to be fun to drive. It wasn't built to be a huge performer in a straight line. It was never meant to be a dragster. It was just meant to be a fun to drive, well-made, somewhat luxurious little car, but not all that luxurious, as we may soon find. So let's go ahead and gently push the hood down. Should be just like an E30, which it is. You want to open up that passenger side door there, Matt? So this inside here is 80s retro. I gotta love these kind of blue cloth seats, plastic dash across the front, and then this steering wheel. Fun thing about this steering wheel is you've got 4 sets of horn buttons, so there's going to be no question whether or not you're going to make the horn. There's also no airbag in this car, so it's a very classy design. Crank sunroof, so if you look over here, there's a little crank, and I should, check that out, be able to crank it open. Basic, simple, easy to use design, and then it just folds back into position. But 5-speed manual transmission. For some reason the radio is pointed straight into the air. Air conditioner, heat here across the dash, and then there's no shortage of dash vents. So I have vents here that point toward my face, but I also have dash vents up here that point kind of toward the windshield and the sky. One more over here and one more down here. There is your ubiquitous 1980s be sure not to die and forget your seatbelt lights. Glove box. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Some of the best gauges I've ever seen. Do you want to come around this side? Just so easy to read. Of course, 55-mile-an-hour speed limit there, but 10,000 original miles. Tachometer red line is about 6,500 RPM. Water temp and fuel. That's it. Here on the side, it's a crank window. Got your mirror adjustments here. I do believe they're power mirrors, which is a nice touch. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is these old 3 Series, even by early 80 standards, weren't actually all that luxurious. They were meant to be kind of a pure driving experience that was super incredibly well put together, but it's by no means that luxurious of a car, even by 80 standards. I mean, Cadillacs would have leather on everything and power everything and interesting technology. Not the humble 3 Series, but this is a car that started it all. This is a car that brought millions into the fantasy of the ultimate driving machine. And yes, the E30s are better known. So the E30, which is a car we had, looks kind of like an updated version of this. It had a slightly less aggressive front end, but a better side silhouette, and it was a little bit more fun to drive. This is quite a slow car. It's quite a humble car, but in my opinion, it's probably the best design BMW has ever done. As always, this is Tommy with TFL Classics. Head over to tflcar.com for the latest and greatest in everything retro BMW reviews.